Yeah, it's take two. Let's give it a shot here. See what happens. Sorry about the earlier one. Let me know in chat if the audio is better. What happened on the first stream was my internal network. I have two networks here at the house. One is I have a pure gig Wi-Fi, and I've got a backup 5G plan. Looks like the Wi-Fi shit itself, and the other one picked up. So that's why you lost quality. Anyway, let's get to it here. It is House Edge Live. It is John. It is Casino Gaming Central, and we're working through the negative progression series. And somebody yesterday had wrote me and said, looks like your channel it was like, because your channel is going away from strategy and more towards money management, can we talk about this thing? And I'm like, yeah, but it made me think, I am kind of going away from strategy talk, and I think I will get back to it at some point. Like when I start playing live, I think strategy talk to me is kind of boring. Like I know Waylon loves doing the strategies, and so does Jeremy and Ryan from Mark the Point. To me, it's like they're all kind of the same. It's just variations on a theme. It all comes down to, as somebody said in our chat from the first broadcast this morning, just if your bets are on the right spot when the thing happens, that's all that it is, right? It's like, you can have the greatest strategy in the world, but if the dice are not hitting your numbers, or the seven's not coming fast enough, or the roulette wheel has one of those weird days where it never hits the third dozen, whatever it is, bad shoe. Ken was talking yesterday about having a bad shoe in blackjack. When it's not your day, it's not your day. When it is your day, it is your day. To me, gambling is less about the strategy, unless you're playing something really stupid, right? It's less about that, and it's more about how you handle yourself, your money, and everything else. Because as we know, and I say this every single day, the casino's out for blood. They don't care. They have one strategy, and that's to outlast you. The casino plays one way. They have unlimited bankroll, and they will outlast you. Even if the game's all paid fair, if every single bet paid exact, true, perfect odds with no house edge, they would still take all your money because they have unlimited funds and you don't. Eventually, variance will catch you and you'll lose all your money, right? So I don't like talking about the greatest way to play or whatever. I like to talk about the greatest thing to do with your money when you win, right? Or the greatest way to handle yourself when you're not winning. To me, that comes down to these things, right? Again, your bankroll is an important piece of it, right? Your relationship with your own risk tolerance, right? How you see wins and losses and time to stays and time to go and when to go to the cage and when not to, having the discipline to do it, right? Setting goals and keeping yourself in check. All of those things are more important than the strategy you decide to play. The strategy says how much you will win. The strategy might say how often you'll win, but the strategy itself has nothing to do with you walking out of there with money. And I think that's why my focus has kind of shifted from pure gambling and pure, let's go have some fun, to being a little more serious about stuff. So that leads me into kind of where we are now, which is this idea of negative progressions. Now today, that's the focus. We've been talking last week about positive progressions to say, look, when it's going your way, when you catch a pocket of wins and you're kind of building through 4, 5, 6 in a row, or 7 out of 8, or whatever that is, how do you capitalize on a good streak? This week, I'm talking about how do you survive the bad streaks, chasing losses, right? The idea of chasing loss being the only way to win. Okay. That's today's topic. Yesterday, we talked about what it means to chase loss. We looked at a few negative progressions. Today, I don't want to make the argument for it. I want to talk through it with you. So if you're here live, and again, it'd be a miracle if you are, because we had the problem earlier with the feed. So we've got, about 20 people here watching right now. I want your opinions and your questions in chat about this, about playing with what we call this negative style of play, chasing the loss on some kind of a plan. Okay. There are people who will assert that's the only way to play. It's the only way to win. And I might agree with that on a few levels. And we'll talk about those in just a minute. Tomorrow, what I'm going to do is get some dice out and maybe even some cards. We'll just roll. I might even go to roulette. And we'll just roll and do a bunch of trials on some of these different ways to play. So I want you to see them. I want you to see how they work. Ken from Ken Knows Gambling yesterday did, I think it was yesterday. Yeah, it must have been. He started a series on his negative progressions, and he ran a 31. And he said, look, I'm just going to run it one time. He ran it one time. He won like on the first level, never went through the whole thing. It never lost, so he didn't have to show you the full thing. I want to hopefully tomorrow show it losing and fighting through the process so you can see how the whole process works. I want to run a martingale and see how that goes. Martingales are tough, and again, Ken said it yesterday, and I think he's right about this as we go into the idea here of, is it the only way to lose in fact or fiction? What the thing about the martingale is, it is the only way to win consistently. It is. If you had enough money and you had a table where there wasn't an upper limit that you could bet on, the martingale would be the greatest system on the planet. It would never lose. You could guarantee yourself a win. The problem is, and I think that our friend Ken said it perfectly yesterday, you cannot play that way. When the casino figured out that that was a way to guarantee a player win, they stopped it. If you go back to my very first set of words on screen, the casinos exist to bankrupt you. If they can't bankrupt you, you find a way around it, they will ban you from playing it. Martingale is the greatest system ever invented. It's a guaranteed win. So the casino stops allowing you to do it. They put a hard limit on how high your bets can get. Even at a $5 table, you can't get high enough. You can't get to level 9. You can't get to level 8 on a $500 table. Most casinos around the country, we'll take Vegas out of the picture and AC out of the picture. Most regular sized casinos don't have those kind of limits. They're capping you at $500 or $1,000. You can't get to the end of a martingale. They'll make sure that they will take your money if you get to level 7 or whatever. So they will find a way around you. So I guess what I'm trying to say is this. Our negative progression, and again, I'm going to start with this assertion, and let's work through it together. Again, in chat, let me know what you think. Negative progressions are the only way to win consistently. Chasing your loss, and again, not chasing your loss by going on tilt, chasing your loss with a plan, a ladder, a Marty, a Fibonacci, a 31, a D'Alembert, or a Labouche, whatever you want to call these things, are the only way to win consistently. That's a definitive statement, and I want you to react to it in chat. Tell me, thumbs up, thumbs down, do you agree with that? Or thumbs up, thumbs down, that's bullshit. Fact or fiction is the name of the show today, and I want to know what your actual thoughts are on that statement, because it's a big statement to make. It's a big, bold statement to make. I'm not picking a side here. I'm going to present to you both sides. We'll talk through how that feels. So, on one hand, negative progressions are the number one way to grind. Okay, and what I mean by that is lose, 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 win, win, and you're up a unit. Start over again. Lose, win, up a unit. Lose, 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 lose. Your bets go higher. You win, you win, you win. You're up a unit, right? It takes advantage of the natural ebb and flow. It takes advantage of what we call a choppy table, where you're winning and losing kind of all over the place, right? At the end of your little negative progression, you're up a unit or 2 units. It's the way that it works, right? It's the best way to grind. There's an obvious target there too, because when you do a negative progression, and it depends on where you start and how you finish and work through it, when you're done with the progression, you're at a target. You've got a unit or 2 or 3 or 4. You've got some known win size right in front of you. When that thing works, you end up right where you know you're going to be. There's no mystery about it. There's no shooting the moon, right? You're going to be where you're going to be. And that's kind of a beautiful thing, right? It eliminates this idea, the rush. You don't get the adrenaline rush when you're playing a ladder system, when you're playing a negative progression. You don't have this need to just, let's go, man, it's a hot table. Let's just press to the ceiling. You don't have that need, because a negative progression is a march. It's a forced march. It's like the army doing a thing, right? It's like you are just doing your steps, whatever the steps are. You follow the steps. It takes all the emotion out of it. You're just following the thing. You don't get the adrenaline rush because you don't need it. You're looking to grind. You don't need the home run win, right? It eliminates being on tilt. When you're playing this way, you can't go on tilt because you have, my next bet is 4. I lost. My next bet is 5. I lost. My next bet is 9. You know exactly what's coming. There's no going on tilt. You've got your 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever it is, steps in your system. You know what the next bet is. It takes all the emotion out of it. And it gives you that target. Like, okay, it worked. We had a little chop. We got out of the chop. I'm up 3 units, right? I have this amazing decision point, right? I'm right where I ought to be. It gives me a chance to be disciplined, right? To manage my money and to obey my bankroll rules, right? The negative progressions build this in. And because of that, they're the best way to grind out a win on the regular, right? On the regular. I can't think of any more ways to sell you on the idea of doing a negative progression than these, because this feeds into everything I preach and teach, with one exception. Okay. And the other side of this is this. These are the negative sides of it, right? There is no opportunity in a negative progression unless you're going to take an excess sized win and sort of hit the gas pedal with it. But there's no turning $100 into 10,000 like you can at a craps table when you're doing a ladder, right? You're not doing that. People who play the right side of craps, or who do these walk systems in roulette, or like me, will do a 4-leg parlay on the blackjack table. You're not going to turn a quarter into $1,500 playing a negative progression. You're just not. It's not made for that. They're made to grind. That's a downside. For some people, that's a big downside, right? The other side that I think negative about the negatives is that it's too rich for most people. It takes a lot of money. We saw yesterday, the 31, right? To win a unit or 3, it takes $3,100 to win $100 or $300. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for a teeny tiny bit of win. But that's the point. You win a teeny tiny bit a whole lot of times, and you might lose the whole thing once or twice. But it's too rich for most people. If you don't have 10 times what it takes to play that in the bank, if I don't got $31,000 in the bank, I'm not playing the 31 at the black chip level, which is $3,100. I need to have $30K backing me up before I'll play that. That's too rich for a lot of people. Okay. The swings, like I say, are way too big, right? You're going to win 100, win 100, win 200, win 300, win 100, win 200, lose 5,000, win 100, win 100, win 100, 50 times in a row, lose 6,000. Those dinky ass wins feel great as you're going 30, 40 in a row. And you put a YouTube video out that says, I never lose, Jimmy, right? And then you get whacked for 10, 12, 13K. That swing is not for everybody. And it's a potential, right? You bring that amount of money and you have to use that amount of money. You've got to be what we call stop loss zero. You're going to play negative progression and you're going 8 steps or 9, like Ken yesterday, he was going 9 steps into the blackjack. 9-step martingale in blackjack takes whatever that took, $2,700, whatever the number was, right? You need to be able to burn that entire thing to make it work. And you will burn that entire thing. At some point, you're going to catch the nine horrible days, right? Even he said it. He got to level 9 like 8, 9 times in his life. You're one bad card away from losing $2,000 after having won $5 1,000 times or whatever the hell it was, right? That swing, that emotional swing of all the tiny losses and you feel like a hero, and the one big punch to the face might be too big for some people. This is not for the faint of heart, this style of play. And it can be hard to recover. Like I said, you could win in a martingale at a $5 table, $5. You could lose $2,000, right? At one time. The win is $5. Every time the sequence works, it's a $5 win. But your bad time is $2,000. So how many times does it take to win $5 to recover the $2,000 that you're going to eventually lose when you do take one to the chin? And it will happen. Ken hasn't experienced that. He says he's very lucky. He got to 9, but not past 9. When that happens to somebody, and I know that it's happened to people. Skill just had 8 losses in a row in craps. If you get to that point, how many wins do you need? I'll do the math for you, right? What's 2,500 divided by 5? You need 500 wins at $5 a win to recover the one big loss. And that's difficult to do. Now, granted, 9-step Marty in blackjack is hard to get to the end. You're probably going to win 3, 4, 500 times. $5, and stack it up. If that loss comes early, you're going to be here playing forever to catch it back up. If you win the 500 up front, you're in good shape. Okay, like I said, the losses are massive. So there's goodness and badness, and I'll go back a screen with you. Well, wrong screen. What did I do? Oh my God, what did I do? We got to go here. There we go. Sorry, I hit the wrong button there. So again, the pros of it being a great way to grind, giving you all this discipline, all these targets, eliminating all the emotions is fantastic, right? Is that outweighed by the fact that it takes so much bankroll and the ultimate loss might be too much to recover from for most people? Again, if you've got 10x backing you up, good for you. That's the way you do this. You just take it on the chin, you come back at it, you start a new series, and you rock the thing through. That's, I think, very important for us to all sort of get our heads wrapped around and really understand. So what I want to know is, what say you? Right? I'm going to go to the chat real quick here and just take a look through some of the if there are any. And I know we had this weird probably this weird thing with the video this morning where my first stream didn't really start with the connection. So we have a small group left. So I'm going to ask the people in chat, what do you think about what I just said on the pro, on the con side? What are your general thoughts on it? And if you're watching me later, of course, in the day, jump into the comment section. What do you say? Again, I just want your opinion. Okay. I have strong opinions on both sides of the thing. I don't play this way because I don't have 10x that money in the bank. I don't got $35,000, $40,000 sitting in the bank account letting me try a $4,000 negative progression 10 times. I just don't have it. So I don't play this way. That's why I choose personally a more positive progression. It's less upfront bankroll. I'm going to take a shot at catching a streak. And if I catch it, great. If I don't, whatever. I'm risking a very little bit of money to increase my bankroll. Right? That's the way that I approach it. But that's, again, for me, bankroll decision. It's not about risk. I don't mind the risk. It's not about the vibe or anything else. For me, it's purely a bankroll choice not to play that way. What do you do? So let me go in here and look at some of the comments we have in chat. Dr. S says, does it make sense to you that you're playing as close to a 50-50 wager? Chop is going to be, for sure. If you're playing close to 50-50, you got to play. And I think Newberry said this once, and I might have put this out there last week, Dr. S. I think he says it, pardon me, perfectly. Gambling is a chop. You're chopping all the time, which is why the ladder system, we'll show ladders next week, why the ladders work so well. Because I would say, and I agree with him, it feels like, I can't prove this mathematically, but it feels like 80% of the time, 75% of the time, you're chopping. Win one, lose one. Win one, lose two. Win two, lose one. You're just kind of like, you can't catch your feet, right? Most of the time, that's where you live. Therefore, the negative progressions, like a ladder, that really capitalize on a chop like that is where you want to be, right? And again, close to 50-50 as you get. Pass line, don't pass. Baccarat, blackjack, red, black, roulette, right? Those 50-50 wagers, right, in a chop, that's where these systems make the most sense. Now, when you play a negative progression on a non-50-50 bet, okay, like, for example, a ladder on just the 4 or just the 10 in craps, or a ladder on just a dozen in roulette, where the payment covers an extra loss, the vibe is different to that. You can still get away with it, these ladders, on some of the non-50-50 bets, but the 50-50 bets typically are closer to zero house edge, right? Which makes it a fair shot, right? Betting negatively is all about rhythm. And it's all about, like, another example I'll give you. The coin flip example. Now, there was a study done, and this is where the Kelly criterion came from, by the way. A study done where they said to a bunch of students, math students, we're going to give you a coin flip. we're going to do 100 coin flips. You're going to win. They said in the study that you're going to win 60 of them. Okay, you're going to win 60 coin flips, and here's $100. 100 coin flips, $100. You're going to win 60, and they had a competition. Who could win the most money? Okay, and what you find is this: the people who understood, and this is again where the Kelly criterion sort of blossomed from, right? Betting a percentage of your bankroll when you know you have the hammer was the key. Those people won the most money. Okay. The people who won money, like if you take that set of college students, right? The ones who were positive, all of them had some sort of a negative progression to them. There were a few, of course, that had some pressing ideas, right? Like I do. But the negative progressions all won money. All of them won money. They didn't win a lot. With a 60% hammer, some of them only won 2 units, but they won in the 100 outcomes, right? The folks who chased the losses in a progressive way won money, right? The folks who hammered the streaks won money, right? The folks who did the Kelly and bet the percentage of their bankroll on the hammer, some of them won money because they caught the rhythm. Some of them lost all of it because of the rhythm, right? There was a big swing there. So yes, Dr. S, the chop is an important part of this thing. We have to understand that rhythm of the game is important. And the way that you bet that catches rhythm, whether it's choppy rhythm or positive rhythm, is super important. Super important. All right. Good morning, Waylon. Glad to see you came back. I love it. Dr. S says, never go to craps without a ladder. Gary, I agree. Most of us just don't have the bankroll. And that's the thing, right? Now, Waylon can jump in. I hope maybe he has already jumped in on this topic, right? When I say, let's take the 31, okay? I don't have to play at the black chip level. You need $3,100. You need 31K in the bank to make this happen. I don't have that kind of money, right? But I do got 3,000 in the bank, and I could play at $300 at the bubble craps for $1. I can go to dollar bubble craps or dollar, what do you call it? The stadium baccarat for $1. You can do it, right? But your win's going to be $1 or $2 or $3, right? Doing it at that tiny level, you'll never make any money. You'll be winning $1 every time you do it. It's almost not worth the effort, right? You need to be at the bigger numbers to make this worthwhile, I think, right? Although learning how to do it at the small level is good. You're just not going to build bankroll that way. $1 at a time, you'll be there. You'll never get it done. All right. Yeah. Waylon says this, it takes less wins versus losses to make money with a ladder. And you're right about that. You don't have to outpace the loss. And I'm going to get Waylon on and Ken next week. You don't have to outpace the losses with a ladder because of the way that you build up the bets. You don't have to lose 3 and win 4 to make money. You can win less often than you lose and still make money in a ladder. And that's a mind blower for most people, but you do need the bankroll to get there. Okay. I love this statement. Flat betting is for flat earthers. That's fantastic. That's great. But JR comes back and says flat betting is not an antonym for going either up as you win or chasing loss. It's just another tactic. And flat betting, by the way, in most scenarios, if you just flat bet, the first 2 or 3 wins in a row, that guy's ahead of everybody else. If a flat better wins 2 in a row and leaves every single day, he'll be ahead of most other people. But it's the subsequent plays where the flat better gets destroyed. All right. The dream of something for nothing is tempered by getting out of the hand on the positive progression side. You have got to, on the positive side, get out of the hand to make it work. Good statement right there. Let's see. JR says, during a 10 straight pass mini monster, as an example, while a loss chaser is losing, the flat better is among out a few hundred and the half presser is winning more. Actually, in 10 in a row, it takes the half presser like 5 wins to catch the guy who's doing the flat bet. And we should show that at some point, how long it takes you to catch the flat better when you're doing some kind of a less than full press progression. It's amazing how fast the flat better gets ahead, and then he gets destroyed later on. So, Waylon, people will play 160 cross and lose it all, but they won't play a pass line ladder with 7 levels at the same amount of money with a $25 bet. Right? 160 is 160. Choose how you want to lose it. And I think I made this point yesterday. When you're playing a negative progression, you know ahead of time what your loss is going to be. You can take 10 cracks at it or 5 cracks at it with 25. 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 to 100, 100 to 125, 125 to 150. Whatever that adds up to. My head, I can't do that math. What is that? Now I have to 150 plus 125 plus 100 plus 75 plus 50 plus 25. That is $525. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cracks at the ladder for $500 at the quarter level. That's what Waylon is basically saying here. Okay. Are you willing to risk $500 to win a quarter? Okay. If you're willing to risk 160 to win 35, again, laying against the 7 on the across bets. I want you to think about that goal in there, because getting whacked for 160 at a shot, you get 2-3 cracks at it with your $500, right? Doing a little loss ladder from a quarter up, you got 6-7 levels at it. That's what Waylon is saying. And again, this is why I want to have him on the show, because I think he's got a different way of looking at stuff. It's very, very, very important to me to get that out there. All right. Daniel, you have to watch Table and Adapt. I think the biggest problem is table etiquette. You can use the odds and math, but it only takes one jerk to mess the table. I agree with you there too. You know what? I prefer playing alone in the morning, as you all know. I love getting up when I'm in Vegas. I love getting up at 5 o'clock, getting my coffee and playing by myself. It's the best. It's the best time of the thing, right? Or playing with only friends at a private table. I just don't love playing with strangers anymore, because people in general kind of suck. And I think what you're saying there, Daniel, is that people in general pretty much kind of suck, and they can suck the life out of you. And when they do that, you make poor decisions. I think the energy, the focus can go away with a jerk. All right. Tony, my good friend Tony. When I get to Vegas, I'm going to be in Vegas in a couple of weeks. We got to get together, buddy. One win stronger than anything. Not a marty. You can set what you want to win per level. We don't chase. We execute. Oh my God. Can I put that up again? I wish I could leave this up here. We don't chase. We execute. There's no emotion, right? He'll let his 27-3 money plan go to work and have 3 banks. I love this. I love this kind of statement from Tony. I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. I'm not sure if Tony saw what I said earlier, but here's the thing. When you're playing in a negative progression, it eliminates the adrenaline rush. When you're going for one win and winning 27-3 losses, like Tony is saying, right? That's the ratio he's looking for. There is no going on tilt. There's no rush, right? We execute the plan. Negative progressions are a plan that gets executed. It's not going to the table and doing a Hail Mary and praying to God that somebody throws a 20 roller so you can make some money today. That's not what this is about. This is about grinding it out with a clear, obvious win target. That's the entire point. And that's what Tony's saying here. I'm going to put that up again. We execute. We don't chase. There's no emotion. That's the secret to it. If you don't have the bankroll to play this way, stop here. But if you do and you want to play this way, you've got to come at it clear-headed and eyes wide open and focused. If you don't have that, you can't play this way. That's why Tony teaches the way that he teaches, and he demands that his students show excellence in training. That's what he does. He quizzes people. He makes sure that you guys are on it. Because if you're not on it, you're going to fall prey to emotion and tilt and dumb decision making. And if you're underfunded, you can't pull it off. Critical stuff. All right. What does Frank say? Allow yourself to get that deep. You're stupid. Shouldn't be gambling. There you go. Play solo, play the short game, hit your goal, and get the hell out. I love it. The crowd mostly sucks because they're mostly undisciplined losers, and they're probably drinking, and they're probably there for the wrong reasons. Right? And again, right? I hate to call people out, right? But I play with people a lot locally because locals are locals, right? You go to your local casino. Local casinos in Wenatchee, Washington or Seattle are not like the locals in Vegas. Maybe like Dottie's, I guess, right? But people here are bringing, like I said, when you sit at a blackjack table and you're on your plan, right? You got your thing, you're gonna buy in for whatever, you're gonna win your 15, 20%, and somebody sits next to you and they buy in for $87. Okay. And they put $5 on the spot and $1 on each of the 3 side bets. and they rip through $87 and they're just here the whole time and they're cussing and they're just pissed off. You know, that person just left the fucking job site with their cash in hand, or they just left the restaurant with their tips, came to the casino with no plan, right? That energy to me sucks the life out of me. And I make bad decisions because I'm mad that he's even there doing that, because it's a dumb decision that drives me crazy. And his energy sucks the whole table down. It doesn't change the cards, obviously, but God, man. Join us for a Bubble Crafts crawl on May 13th. Okay, I actually will probably be there in May, so that I can totally do that. All right, Ken is digging the series, and wow, sometimes Ken wrote me yesterday, and he said, "Good show," and I wrote, "Yeah, I know some stuff, you know." I think it's important that we all have eyes wide open on these things, right? It's all eyes wide open, and I think if I serve no other purpose in this world, it's just to make y'all think. TechFly, I love Baccarat. I sorry to the world I said Baccarat. Baccarat, I love Baccarat. One of the games I cut my teeth on when I was younger, because it was, my dad was, have 2 minutes for history lesson here. You know my story for everybody else. So TechFly, I'm just talking to you, right? My dad got me into gambling when I was in my teens. Him and my mom would go to Atlantic City at the Playboy, and at Harrah's, and I would watch him play blackjack, and he kind of taught me basic strategy. And when I got to where I was allowed to gamble, he said, "Don't play blackjack. It's too volatile of a game. You don't have the discipline yet. You don't really know what you're doing. You think you do, but you don't." And he showed me Baccarat. He said, "Baccarat's coin flip. Heads or tails. It's all it is." You can let I'll never forget him saying it. He's like, pretend the felt's not even there. Pretend the dealer's not even there. Pretend the players aren't there. You have two choices, heads or tails. They call it banker or player. And he's like, the coin will never land on its side, ever land on its side. Don't bet to tie. Heads or tails, that's all you're doing. Learn rhythm at that table. And that's what I did. I learned betting patterns, positive and negative, at that Baccarat table. And I wanted to play craps. I wanted to learn it. Super complex game. I would literally go to the Baccarat table, win $100, right? And this is back in the late 80s. Walk over to the $3 craps table with my $100 and burn it, and go back to Baccarat, win another 50 or $100, go back to the craps table. And that's how I learned. You know, some old fart at the craps table taught me how to play. And that's how I cut my teeth. Baccarat is one of my favorite games. It's a volatile game because you can catch a shit rhythm in it. But once you figure that game out and how to bet pattern style, ladders and up and pulls and all the basic stuff that we teach, Baccarat is the way to practice it, because you get a quick decision. You'll learn how a ladder works really quick in Baccarat. You'll learn how Marty works in Baccarat. You can learn how a positive parlay system works in Baccarat. You can see an up and pull in action because it happens so fast. It's a great game for that you don't got to think about. You just make the bets and watch the money move, and you go, oh, now I understand it. Now I can take that skill of betting and go to blackjack and go from a 1.2% house edge at Baccarat to a 0.2% house edge at blackjack and have a better chance of walking away with money. Great game. Love it. You know it, Ken. And this is the whole point. Baccarat is a better game than craps. And again, for all the people who are the math guys, you got to play the low house edge. Bach and blackjack have a lower house edge than craps easily. Basic Baccarat, basic pass line. Baccarat is a better game. And you don't got to think. You can't F anything up. You're just going to go, man. That's it. It's a great game. It's a great game. I love Baccarat. All right. I got to go. It's 8:15. Time for my day job. Thank you for all the comments today. It was good I know we had the hitch and the giddy up to get the show started today, but you guys came through with great comments and great questions. Tomorrow, what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll some of this out. Okay. We're going to go, and I may do some online roulette. I may do some craps. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but we're going to do a few different negative progressions tomorrow. And I hope they lose. And what I mean by that is I hope we have trouble. I want you to see them not win right away. I'd like you to see a negative progression, handle some losses, and fight its way back, because the magic of a negative progression is the fight back. And watching them things go, it's really going south. And then all of a sudden you go, oh, I see how it's going to pull itself out of the hole. it's an interesting watch. So hopefully we have some trouble tomorrow and these things have their way. So with all that said, I'll leave you with Sweet Lou's comment. Focus, follow your plan, observe conditions, control your emotions, understand the game you're playing and the odds of it, and stay disciplined. Interestingly enough, all of those things tie in perfectly to the idea of betting with a negative progression. So with that said, guys, I'm out of here. Okay. Make sure you don't forget to keep things simple. Baccarat simple, progression betting simple. The idiots admire complexity. The geniuses admire simplicity. With that said, God bless y'all. See you tomorrow. Bye.